Welcome to Regionally Speaking, a forum that explores the distinctive aspects of Northeast Ohio's Western Reserve. And now, introducing your host, Professor of American Studies and the Director of the Western Reserve Studies Symposium at Case Western Reserve University, Gladys Haddad.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Regionally Speaking. Cities across the country are facing the worst recession since the Great Depression. How do you redevelop a city in these challenging economic times? In this series on the Social Justice Alliance Institute at Case Western Reserve University, we'll be joined by community experts and leaders, faculty and students as we discuss these important issues for Northeastern Ohio and its central city of Cleveland. Hello, and welcome to Regionally Speaking and this series on the Social Justice Institute at Case Western Reserve University. A few blocks east of University Circle is the municipality of East Cleveland. Our focus today is on the East Cleveland Collaborative Project, and the subject is senior services. Our conversation today includes Kevin Valentine, Director of Senior Services and the Helen S Brown Senior Center for the City of East Cleveland, and Mildred Brewer, East Cleveland resident and Councilwoman in Ward 4. Kevin, I'd like to start with you and ask you to talk about your job. What's your job description? And that is, what are your responsibilities as Director of Senior Services? What are the services? And how long have you had this position?
Well, good morning, first of all, and thank you for allowing me to come today. And also, on behalf of the City of East Cleveland, we certainly welcome this opportunity to talk about the services that we provide for our older active adults in East Cleveland. My job is director of the Helen S Brown Center. And what we provide for our older active adults in East Cleveland is an opportunity to come to a place that we consider to be safe, a place where our seniors can come and socialize, to be engaged in active activities that in fact help them to move their day along. We are very big on wellness. Wellness is a principal point of what we do at the center. We like to think that we're a place where seniors can come and they can just be active. We do everything from aquatics, from dancing to everything you can think of in between. But some of the more critical things that we provide are a meal every day. Every day we have a meal, which we consider to be congregate meals. Then we also have our homebound delivery meals for those seniors who can't get out of the house. So those are our primary services. But again, everything in between. We have folks that come there and they sew, they knit. We have a arts program. Some of our guys just want to come there and shoot pool. And that's okay as well. We do everything in between. So that's what we do at the Senior Center.
I'm interested in the expression that you used, congregate meals.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Well, that's where people come together and congregate, and they have a meal. And it's a social event of sorts, if you will, where they can come, have a family-style meal, enjoy it, and go from there.
All right. And so we have men and women.
Men and women, every single day, Monday through Friday. And our meals are every day at 12 o'clock on the dot. Because if we're 12:01, there's a problem. Folks want their meal at 12 o'clock.
They rise up and say.
They rise up and say, Kevin, where's my meal at? But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that our major sponsor of this is the Western Reserve Area Aging Committee on this.
Good.
So
we'll talk about that a little bit.
Well, they're our primary funder. And they've been with us over 20 plus years, and they make sure that these services are met. in Western Reserve area on aging. That is their function. And they've been a great sponsor for East Cleveland and the Helen S Brown Center, again, for well over 20, 25 years now. So that's what they do.
Who's Helen S Brown?
Well, Councilwoman, I'll yield that to you for a moment here.
All right. Mildred Brewer.
Yes.
You can begin by just telling us who is Helen S. Brown.
Helen S. Brown was a resident of the city of East Cleveland. At that particular time, the city decided that they had senior citizens in the community, and they needed to have some type of program to utilize the seniors in the city. So Helen S. Brown had a degree as a social worker, but she was also a senior citizen. She began to organize and put the thing. We first started out with the lunches, and my job was to go around through the city, knock on doors, and see if they had a senior citizen in that household. At that particular time, we had about 42,000 people within the city, but we did have a small community of seniors. So we had to find them. We had no way of promoting the organization or seeing if there were seniors. We didn't have, during that time, we didn't have cable or anything or any resource to get the seniors to come out. So after I go to work every day, and this was in the summertime, I would walk every street in the city of East Cleveland. This is how I learned the city. And to knock on the doors and ask if there was a senior in their household so that we could deliver them a lunch. So that's how that program got started.
Now, mind you at that time, Councilwoman Brewer was only 35 years old. I shouldn't tell all the business, but mind you that she was a young lady doing this.
That's interesting. Now, I wanted to know something about, you're starting to give it to me already, the history of your residence in East Cleveland. Are you a lifetime resident?
No. I moved into East Cleveland in 1967, if I can recall. A single parent, 6 children, and a homeowner. And I worked every day. So
what were you doing, your work?
I worked in data processing.
Oh, I see.
I started out as a divorcee. I divorced my husband. I also went to Dyke College.
Yes.
I graduated from Dyke College. And then I proceeded to go get jobs. Couldn't get jobs during that time to take care of my 6 children.
Yes.
I also... once I graduated, I said that was when the computers was coming out. So I said, well, that's interesting. I like things that has challenge to it. So I went to Tri-C, and I took data processing. I took programming. To me, program was my interest into data processing, and that would give me an income level where I could provide for these 6 children as a single parent. In purchasing my home, I personally feel that every person that owns a home should be involved in their community. Now, that's just my personal belief, because you should know where your tax dollars are going. You should know what's going on in your city as far as your police, your fire, and your school. Those are 2 entities to me are very important. So during the time I moved in, I worked with the school system. They had a Title VII program. I chaired that. In chairing that, East Cleveland school system during that time had teachers that was not qualified. We brought to the board to have each teacher that taught at any of the East Cleveland school system to be qualified, certified, not qualified, certified. Yes. To me, that was key. We also had another project that I brought into the system, was that each one of the teachers could not do curriculum. We had teachers doing the curriculum. I do not believe that a teacher should do the curriculum.
Now,
Okay.
what do you mean by doing the curriculum?
They would write the curriculum for each grade.
The teachers were doing
The teacher was doing it.
that. All right.
I felt for curriculum, you should have a specialist, not a teacher. I believe in people being in special fields to do special projects.
I see.
So I was heavily involved in the school system doing that. Also, at that particular time, I was involved in the city political. I started with Chandler. He was the mayor of the city of East Cleveland. During that time, we had commissioners, city manager,
Yes.
former government. So, in working with him to learn the different politics that was played, and plus how a city is ran. And at the same time, I was a part of the League of Women Voters, and we did a lot of research. We did a lot of information that was brought to the organization to tell us what was in the city. I also had a relationship with Case Western Reserve. Case Western Reserve professors, and I admire them today, is that they help me to understand a community.
Yes.
And they would also do different projects for me, volunteer as part of their program in their classroom.
Well,
So-
can you identify them for us?
No, I cannot. I don't remember.
You don't
this
remember
day. I
their
don't-
names.
this
Well,
day.
I'm very interested in it because we do have, as a university, a very strong relationship now with the city of
Right.
East Cleveland.
Well, I'm the one that brought the previous mayor to Case Western Reserve, and they started 2010 program. I'm the one that brought him here because I told him at that particular time that Case Western Reserve could help us and do different things for us. So that's how East Cleveland got involved
Oh, I see.
with
Wow.
Case Western Reserve.
I'm glad we have that story out here.
Well, it's good that you have people that's interested in their community to learn where you can go get help. And you have to remember, I was not a politician. I didn't know anything about a suburb. I grew up in the Glenville area. Since 1941, I'm from Decatur, Alabama. That's where I was born. My father brought us to the Glenville area to better our education. That was what he would tell us. So in doing that, I was inquisitive about different things that would happen. And I knew when housing codes in the Cleveland area, they didn't allow two families to live in them. You couldn't just live in a household and have different people staying there. What they call homes where they had divided the rooms up. So when I learned about black, I was interested in black. Coming from the South, my father talked to us about what happened in the southern states and why he wanted to bring us to the northern states. So, and with that knowledge that my parents gave me, is that I became very interested in a lot of assets and different things that goes on in a community. Each one of us have a niche. And I found my niche at an early age and became inquisitive about what happens in a city, how people run, how they get elected. And that's part of my life.
Ms. Brewer, we're going to take a break now, but when we get back, I'm going to know, and you can be thinking about this, when did your position as a councilwoman take place? But wait, after the break.
Regionally Speaking is made possible through the generous support of the Social Justice Alliance Institute, the Case Western Reserve University Advanced Opportunity Grants, and the Case Western Reserve University Center for Community Partnerships. To learn more about the issues facing our region, visit our website at blog.case.edu/WRSS.
I'd like to return to our conversation now with Kevin Valentine and Mildred Brewer from East Cleveland. And I'm going to ask Kevin to talk about the Helen S Brown Center, who she was and what were her motivations. Tell us about her.
Well, from the information that I do have of Ms. Brown, as the councilwoman has pointed out, she was a social worker in the community, very concerned about working with the seniors of East Cleveland. And she was brought in by the city at that time to work with the senior community. Now, Helen Brown was not in the location that it is now. Right now we're at 16100 Euclid Avenue, but as I understand, they actually started out in the basement of Windermere Church. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, eventually moved on to be where they are today. Our main sponsor, as I mentioned earlier, Western Reserve Area on Aging, was one of the primary sponsors and one of the first grantees of the seniors of the center to provide services to seniors in the form of making sure that our seniors had a meal every single day. And I think things went on from there. It grew. It became the conduit, if you will, to provide services for seniors in East Cleveland. Eventually, Miss Brown has some property that she, at some point, then gave to the city. I believe it was for $1, which is now the Helen S Brown Senior Center in East Cleveland. And that was in 1972, if I am mistaken.
And Kevin, is that the address that you just gave us?
Yes, 16100 Euclid Avenue.
Right.
And it has grown from there. I am only the 5th director. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Brewer.
Right.
But I'm the 5th director, and I'm just having a great time there right now. We are doing incredible things at the center now for our seniors. I mentioned earlier about some of the things that we do, but Huron Road has been a blessing to the center. When I talk about wellness, I'm talking about, Huron comes in, they do screenings on a regular basis.
Now you need to make it clear that when you say Huron Road, you're talking about a hospital.
The hospital, that is correct.
Good.
Yes. We have a great relationship with them. We do screenings for diabetes, for arthritis, every imaginable thing that would inflict or impact a senior in the community. We do things from Tai Chi at the center. I mentioned dancing earlier, but, we're talking line dancing. Our seniors are active, and that's where we want to keep them at. We have an incredible relationship with many other organizations and institutions within the community where seniors don't have to come to them. They come to the seniors and provide those kinds of services. So I am so grateful to be at Helen S Brown Center.
And how long have you been in this position?
I joined with the new administration after January of this year. Mm-hmm. Under the able leadership of Mayor Gary Norton.
Yes.
And that's when I came in.
All right. Now, back to you, Mildred Brewer. And I want to know when, your role has been so active, and while you say not political, your thrust is more from a social standpoint.
That's correct.
However, being a councilwoman sounds a little political to me in Ward 4, and I want you to tell us about how that came about.
Today I am political, highly political. That came about in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I have volunteered a lot of services in the city of East Cleveland, and the people knew me. I was retiring, and they said, you need to run for council. I'm not running for council. Everything I've done came from the heart.
Now, when you say you were retiring, was that from your...
I turned 65.
Yeah, but you were employed.
I was employed.
So
I retired from Hunger Network of Greater Cleveland.
Oh,
I was an undegreed social worker. Well, I was always going to the city meetings. They would have meetings, and they came out of one meeting and said, we need you to be a council person because you're very knowledgeable of what goes on in the city, and we need a person like you. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. So that's work. I'm retiring. So I went to the next month meeting, and they asked me again, and I cannot repeat what I told them, but it was a no. Firm no.
A firm no.
So I thought about it, and I called my children, because they was all married and gone and stuff. I called my children. I had 2 of them was in college. And I asked them, I said, what do you think about Mama being a council person? Well, they said, well, you need to find something to do because you're not going to be in the house. So anyway, the people from the meeting took the petitions, circulated them to get my name on the ballot. I didn't do no work. And I ran at large.
Oh.
When I ran at large, I was one of the highest vote getters in the city of East Cleveland.
I'm not surprised.
So from there, being a legislator, I did not feel that we was accountable at large. I felt that we needed to be wards. We have 3 wards in East Cleveland, wards 2, 3, and 4. Put an initiative next year. I put an initiative on the ballot where we would have the 3 council persons, and I also gave them a 4-year term. So I have a lot of history of things that I've done. But let's get back to Helen S Brown Center. Helen S Brown is a pet peeve of mine, because although I was young at the time that I met Miss Brown, but I also had a mother that was of age when we took her to Helen S Brown while I was at work. She was up in age. She needed something to do. And they had all kinds of craft. They had she was tickled to death because she learned how to sew. She would make suits and things. And this was a way to help me, by me working every day, to give her something concrete to do during the time. So now, in doing that, is when I fell in love with Helen S Brown Center, for the fact of it is that it taught me about seniors. We're not like ordinary people. People look at us and think that we kind of weird and odd, and we're not.
Seniors? Are you speaking of seniors?
I'm speaking of seniors. Seniors have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. So in learning that, I learned how to deal with seniors. And to me, I wanted Helen S Brown Center to be there for me when I became a senior.
So your pet peeve is how people traditionally look at seniors.
That's right.
And it doesn't have anything to do with the Helen S Brown Center, except that was the place where you were going to make your difference.
Well, that was the place that I needed to stay focused on Helen S Brown to make sure that Helen S Brown was operated and catered to the seniors. Now that's a goal. That's his. And I work with Kevin. I'm a legislator. So I have nothing to do with day-to-day operations. I have nothing to do with hiring and firing. But I come to committee meetings, subcommittee meetings with that director to understand what direction that these seniors are going.
And I think that brings me to a great point that I take this job very seriously. We have to look out for the welfare of the seniors in our community. Please understand that East Cleveland has the highest per capita level in terms of population of seniors in the county of Cuyahoga County. We're looking at a population of East Cleveland that is 30% of the population of East Cleveland. It's seniors. If you were to go along Terrace Road right now and you go all along Terrace, all those are senior high-rises, not even considering at this point the CMHA properties that accommodate seniors as well. So we have a large population of seniors that live in East Cleveland, and it would be irresponsible not to respond to what their needs are. I talk about Helen Brown Center, but there's a whole senior population that doesn't come to Helen Brown. but we still, as a city, need to be able to respond to the needs of the seniors that live in that city.
So you call that outreach, and how do you
Absolutely.
do that? How do you do that?
We have an entire outreach team, and we are in people's homes every single day, connecting the dots, if you will, to county services that are available to seniors, doing the outreach work that needs to be done. And that's another important element to what we do at the Helen Brown Center. There are seniors out there that, need some basic services, and we're the conduit to be able to provide those services to the city.
And I would like to interject also. Quite a few of our seniors are not knowledgeable of the services that they can have or we can service. Being elected officials, I get the phone calls. Ms. Brewer, I don't have any medical.
Right.
They don't know how to go about to get medical into the programs that's out there for them. So at Helen S Brown Center, we bring in, at least the director, not we, the director brings in organizations to talk about medical. Mm-hmm. They also need other services. They need services like we do the homebound food. Mm-hmm. We also have a social worker at Helen S Brown Center that goes in and talk to them about someone coming in to clean their homes. They don't know about that. Yep. They have somebody to come in and do their medical, make sure that they have the right medication to take. So we provide the service for people that's not knowledgeable or not knowing where to go to get help.
Let me give you a good example of some of the work that we do at Helen Brown. Most recently, we had someone call in and they said, well, my neighbor, we haven't seen her for a minute. Can you come and check on her? And she's an elderly woman. So we had our worker go out to the home, and the lady answered the door, and our workers went in, and what we found was an elderly woman who had no social supports, no family members checking on her. We looked in the refrigerator. This woman had no food in her refrigerator. Had not eaten a decent meal in a while, did not have any visible means of supporting herself. This was a cry for help. This meant that as an agency, as we are at Helen S Brown, that we needed to call the county in, which meant that we had to contact protective services. Let's get a social worker out here to see what her needs are. When it came down to it, she needed medical attention. She was in the pre-stages of dementia. There were no family members available to help in any kind of way, but we were able to go in, establish and assess what her needs were, if you will, and to be able to do something to help this woman out. Those are the kinds of services that we provide through the center. And if I may, if there are people that have questions about Helen S Brown and the services that we provide, again, our address is 16100 Euclid Avenue, and we can be reached Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 5. Our number is area code 216-761-8410.
Kevin Valentine, Mildred Brewer, I cannot tell you what a privilege it has been to hear you tell the story about the Senior Services Center and the Helen S Brown Center for the people of the city of East Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I thank you very much.
You've been listening to Regionally Speaking, a forum that explores the distinctive aspects of Northeast Ohio. Today's program is made possible through the generous support of the Social Justice Alliance Institute, the Case Western Reserve University Advanced Opportunity Grants, and the Case Western Reserve University Center for Community Partnerships. To learn more about the issues facing our region, visit our website at blog.case.edu/WRRS. You can also email your comments, questions, and suggestions to regionallyspeaking@case.edu.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us next time for Regionally Speaking.